I'm Dan Heyman with CarPages.ca. Now, the Mitsubishi Lancer comes in a variety of forms. You have your garden variety, rental fleet populating, front-wheel drive Lancer sedan. Then you could take a step up into the Lancer Sportback, station wagon, hatchback, whatever. And then if you want to go a little bit more, crazy, I guess, there's the Rally Yard editions of both, which gets you turbocharging and all-wheel drive. But then, there's this. .291 horsepower. Twin clutch transmission that actually selects the next gear before you even need it. Brembo brakes, 300 pound-feet of torque. This is the Lancer Evolution. Good looking, isn't it? Many may not realize this, but this version of Mitsubishi's sedan for the masses has been around for quite some time. It's known affectionately worldwide as the Evo. But this model that we're driving today is simply called the Lancer Evolution MR. True Evo files will know that it's actually, they probably call it the Lancer Evo X because it's the 10th generation of this most manic Mitsu. Probably a little bit too manic for the government of Canada because this is the first time we've seen this version in our fair country. To that I say, thank the automotive gods. Too long we've been depraved of this World Rally Championship bred wonder wagon for the masses here in Canada. And I, for one, think it's time to make up for some lost time. Outside, it's fairly Lancer-esque. They've even taken away the big rear spoiler on the MR because drivers were complaining that it was obscuring too much of their rearward vision and it was adding unnecessary weight, which, as we'll soon find out, is a big no-no in the Lancer Evo universe. What can't be seen, but what most certainly can be felt when you mash the throttle, are the weight savings that come from having an aluminum front fender setup, aluminum roof, and an aluminum hood with functional air intakes. 3 of them. Other features exposed in this particular Lancer as anything but are the 18-inch BBS wheels, from behind which peak 4-piston Brembo calipers up the front and 2 piston numbers at the rear, both painted red. And then you've got the gaping Evo Maw, which looks like it could probably swallow Toyota Yaris whole, and whose black mesh hides the intercooler used to cool the turbocharger of the 2.0-liter Maybach engine. Inside, it's a bit of a different story. There's little question that this is one special Lancer. First off, you have these all-aluminum paddles coming off the steering column, and yeah, the Rally Yard has that too, but just bear with me for a sec. Then you've got these billeted aluminum sport pedals, as well as this little switch beside the Twin Clutch SST logo near the shift lever. Twin Clutch SST standing for Twin Clutch Sportronic Shift Transmission, but I guess in the interest of keeping things short, they just went with Twin Clutch SST, especially considering you've already got SAWC and MIVEC running the gamut for annoying acronyms when it comes to this car. What that switch does is it actually changes the shift mode, so the transmission shifts quicker depending on which one you're in. There's normal, then sport, then S Sport, which I guess is super sport, again, acronyms. And whether you're using the paddles or whether you leave it in D, it'll actually speed up or slow down the shifts accordingly and shift at different revs as well. And then you've got the Recaro sport seats. One for you, one for your co-driver, as if you were driving a real rally car, which, let's face it, you almost are. They have high bolsters and they're going to keep you nice and snug unless you're skinnier than Jack from Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas. And you're going to want that support because this here is a car that asks, no, this is a car that demands to be driven with something just a hair under reckless abandon. And believe me when I tell you, your core strength is probably not going to be able to keep up with that chassis. But before you do all that, you have to get in. Right foot in, butt over the side bolster, ow, and then settle in. Oof. Close the door. Look around and wonder why a $51,000 car has so much inexpensive plastic in it. Yes, it's a weight-saving measure. Turn the key. Oh, do your seatbelt up first, of course. Turn the key. Reach for the shifter that looks a little bit like a manual shift lever, but isn't. Move it down and left to engage the paddles. Release the e-brake, and we're off. Peak torque, all 300 pounds of it, comes officially at 4,000 RPM. But let me tell you, aside from a little bit of turbo lag, you're gonna feel it in your chest a long time before that. Then you reach for the right-hand paddle and select the already selected gear, and it all starts all over again. It's addictive, really, and you wanna be careful not to attract the long arm of the law. In which case I would recommend maybe opting for a more neutral color like this Phantom Black, as opposed to some of the more, well, less neutral and aptly named Rally Red and Octane Blue. And being fitted with super all-wheel control, this thing handles at the beans as well. That means 3 differentials, a limited slip at the front, 1 at the center, and 1 at the rear, inverted Bilstein shock absorbers, IBAC springs, all of which leads to feelings of very little inertia whatsoever. Quick left-hand jinks are handled with very little fanfare whatsoever, and pulling out of tight little hairpins, immediate. Basically, you just take the Evo, you point at the horizon, you tell it, I want to go there. And it goes. The 25mm roll bars, both front and rear, Yokohama Advan tires that are stickier than Aunt Jemima's Finest, and steering that just feels so dialed in, so connected, just leads to feelings of immediate response that are hard to replicate in many cars, to be honest. Just make sure you keep your hands at 10 and 2. And that's kind of where the whole thing goes sideways a little. To drive this car to 9/10 of its ability, no, let's say 8 or even 7/10 of its ability, you kind of need a racetrack. It's not that safe to do it on regular roads, and to be honest, car is not easy to live with on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, it's stiffly sprung, it's got quick responses, but all that means is around town, well, the tires, for example. Sticky is great for handling, but when you try to turn into a parking lot, the wheels coupled with the steering, which is power steering but only boosted very little, it requires more elbow grease than usual. There's a reason why cars like this exist, and there's a reason why this has become a bit of a cult classic amongst enthusiasts especially. It's laden with technology, it's fun to drive, and it's fast. But the question with it is the question that's been surrounding sports cars for a long time, and that's, do you sacrifice tractability around town for fun out of town? And at $51,000, with this particular example, it's a bit of a tough question, but then again, that has always been the question with sports cars, and sports sedans now as well. I'm Dan Heyman. Thanks for tuning in.